Greetings, heroes. George Z. Gago here. Today, we're gonna figure out what is happening to our brain before we go on the stage, before we start applying the public speaking techniques, before we start talking to a crowd. So, what I'm gonna share with you today are 3 steps to break through all these uncomfortable feeling once and for all. First, what happens to our brain and the physiological reactions. Second, a simple physiological reset so we can actually calm ourselves down. And third, in order to take it home, we will definitely come up with a couple of engaging, in terms of gamification, exercises, so that we can apply this knowledge and put our reps in. Let's get started. Why does speaking to a crowd feel scarier than wrestling with a bear? So the brain responds. All right, so what happens is the amygdala gets activated when we are in front of a room. The reason for that is because we tend to feel that we enter a hostile environment, hence, let's say, a threat, such as a bear or a lion. Definitely your amygdala is going to be extremely activated. Amygdala, what is the amygdala? To demonstrate, let's see on the 3D model how amygdala looks like and where it's located. So, as you can see here, this almond-shaped structure is responsible for the fear sector. So the type of, let's say, fight or flight situation, which is located on the emotional part of the brain. And as you can see, look how small it looks. Of course, it's bilaterally, which means that it's on both sides of the brain and is really close to this hippocampus sea horse shape. The amygdala is a really teeny part of the brain that detects the fear response that we are talking about, any threats, upcoming threats that are taking place. So the 3 F's that taking place as a form of reaction is fight, flight, or freeze. The 3 F's: flight, fight, freeze. And we enter this type of, let's say, mode when we are in front of the public, because we think that there is a hostile environment. So at some point, the physiological reaction, how our body tends to react on that, is heart rate elevation and sweaty palms or armpits. Sometimes it happens to me as well. And somehow the time dilation is decreasing. We are so aware that every single second feels like an eternity. Additionally, our breathing is dysregulated to a point that we are short on breath, and that can actually violate our ability to express ourselves, but also our own tonality. In other words, your brain feels like the audience is a predator. So what happens is we freeze, forget our lines, and start sweating. Let's move on. Step 2, the physiological reset. So before we go onto the stage, this type of feeling is gonna take place. The very uncomfortable feeling, because it's the anticipation that builds up, all right? So we need to do something about it. And the easiest way, but also fastest way to somehow reset this type of, let's say, heart rate and physiological response is with a double inhale and exhale. Let me demonstrate. Let's say I feel a bit of anxiety, right? So I do this. So double inhale. And exhale. So by doing that, we restore our clear thinking, which helps with better recall and the delivery that we try to convey as a public speaker. Now, step 3. Let's move on to the practical exercises that we can also incorporate into our toolbox so that we can sharpen our public speaking skills. So these two particular exercises are building up on the previous video as well. So the first one is what we have already done. So let's move on to the first exercise, triple step, from ultraspeaking.com. It's a great site so that you can actually put your reps in on a daily basis, and then you'll be able to somehow improve your skills by putting your reps. Okay, let's get started. How to use technology. How to use technology? Well, here's the thing. It depends on your, let's say, type of generation that you're in. So if you become a boomer, you end up using technology as a scarecrow, not quite rigid, not as flexible. And yeah, well, sometimes visiting your grandma can exhibit the vast difference of how she uses the technology compared to you. Now, online shopping has helped us to understand how to use the technology with, let's say, more efficient ways, such as, let's say, the job hunting industry, which has become much better than anything else. Eating a watermelon, perhaps if you search on that on YouTube, you can figure out how to do that properly, or even singing. But at the end of the day, how to use technology comes down to recycling your own thoughts. Reflection time. So, as you may have noticed, all these topics popping up randomly, and if you contextualize them semantically, what they mean is totally different than the previous one or the one after. That triggers a level of novelty, curiosity, if you may, so that we sharpen our creativity, which is crucial on this type of guiding freestyle public speaking exercise. Now, let's move on to the next exercise, which is the conductor. Why the conductor? So the conductor is, imagine an orchestra, and you are the one who sets by moving up and down. I don't know about this kind of stuff. I'm not a conductor myself, and music literacy is quite limited, but I would say this: everyone can visualize a conductor who moves up and down his or her hands in order to set the volume of the orchestra. This is exactly what this exercise is about: tonality. Break through the monotony once and for all by using this particular exercise. So what is the idea? Let me show you. The idea is you put a timer again, and then there is a theme, as there always been, in order to start creating your own freestyle story. And from time to time, some numbers will pop up from 1 to 10, and they will indicate the level of your tonality, intensity, energy, if you may. And of course, there will be 2 more prompts from this particular exercise. The one is breathe. So you slow down by breathing, and you allow to have this pausing moment. This pausing moment settles the snow for the audience to resonate and understand the type of information that you try to convey to them. And later on, you need to wrap up. So the last bit is wrap up with the exercise. So just find a lovely conclusion to provide the general idea at the end. All right, so let's get started. The conductor. Insanity. So insanity. The moment that you are passionate about something, the level of insanity becomes the new norm. You become passionate, and what you want to do is to just focus on one thing, a set of flow when time slows down. And when it slows down, what is left for you is to breathe, concentrate into a point that nothing else matters. Why? Because others would say, you are insane, you just do only this. Yeah, but that's what the passion is about. It's the level of insanity that you have. Reflection time. So, as you may have noticed, the exercise encourages to actually even breathe, which means pause, let the snow settle so that the audience, you see what I did now? So that the audience can actually be there with you, understanding the message that you try to convey. And of course, leave them room to take in what you just said. Also builds anticipation. You do not need to use fill up words, because these type of buffer words indicate that you are comfortable with silence. But let me tell you something. By allowing these small pauses or long, you actually allow yourself to breathe and know what you're about to say. The audience doesn't know whether you forgot your lines, if you feel whatever you feel at that point, or let's say you do some freestyle or whatever. Of course, when you're about to have a TED talk and talk on a presentation in front of, stakeholders, your audience, even your football team, you must be prepared. That goes without saying. And by clicking this video, it means that you already have this work ethic. So take a moment to breathe and elevate your tonality when you need to make a point, when you need to bring the energy, when you want to intensify a particular moment, something that is important to highlight. By doing these fluctuations with the conductor's exercise, you create a colorful tonality as a public speaker. So give it a go. So the takeaways are the following. Public speaking anxiety equals our own biology, not weakness. By using the physiological reset breathing technique, as well as these particular exercises, the triple step and the conductor, we become aware, calm down our amygdala, because the place is not any predator. You're in an act of service. You have the responsibility to share what you have learned with the audience. And the audience is there not as a critic. You are there to serve the audience, and they are there to learn from you. And remember, Your brain is plastic. It can learn. And with the right cues and training, you don't just speak to your audience. You connect. Thank you once again, heroes. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and comment down below to any suggestions that you might have so I can make more videos for you guys. Till the next time.